People may look at Larry Millete and see a grieving husband who lost his wife. But this is why genuine grief doesn't look like this. People will see a tragedy, a missing person, and eventually, though, a guilty verdict. When I look at Larry, I don't see this grieving husband. I see a textbook case of decompensation. In the world of psychology, we often use that term to describe the moment when someone's psychological defenses, which is the elaborate walls that they built to stay normal, finally start to crumble. They can no longer hold up the mask. For Larry, that crumbling didn't start the day that Maya or May went missing. It began months or even years before. Today, we aren't just recapping the timeline. The news has covered the what and the where for years. But in this recap, we're going to look at the why. Why couldn't he stop himself? Why was this happening inside his mind that made him think that he could control the uncontrollable? I'm a licensed professional counselor, and this is my clinical breakdown recap of the Larry Millete case. And make sure to karate chop that subscribe button to get more of these breakdowns. To understand Larry, we have to analyze what I call the architecture of his control. I use the word architecture because this wasn't an accident and it wasn't just a spiral. This wasn't a heat of the moment reaction either. This was a structure that was built brick by brick, built over a lifetime of a marriage. This goes far beyond a bad marriage. We've all seen marriages that struggle, couples who grow apart or partners who argue, but this is something very different. This is a deep-seated, almost cellular pathological need for dominance. When I look at Larry's history, I'm searching for the first bricks laid in that foundation. Even in the early public records of his life, you can see glimmers of a rigid personality structure. Think about that word for a second. It's rigid. In a healthy psyche, there is flexibility. When life tells you no, and it will often, or when a partner expresses a different opinion, a healthy person might get frustrated. They might get upset even, but they can bend. They can adapt. They can get over it pretty quickly. They can compromise. But for someone with a rigid personality, bending actually feels like breaking. And to Larry, Maya's independence wasn't just a marital issue. It was a threat to his very existence. As Maya began to pull away, Larry's traditional methods of control started to fail. This is a dangerous pivot point for a rigid personality. When his direct coercive control of the financial pressure, the physical presence, and the constant monitoring, when they stopped working, his brain didn't accept reality. Instead, it looked for a new way to exert dominance. This leads us to one of the most chilling aspects of this case. It's bizarre. His move toward spellcasting and hiring a spellcaster to force Maya to stay. To an outsider, it sounds like a desperation. But to a clinician like me, it looked like magical thinking. Larry was attempting to order her compliance through the universe itself, some cosmic reality that he thought can control her. It's a terrifying level of grandiosity. It suggests that in Larry's mind, his will was so paramount that the laws of nature should bend to accommodate it. When we see this level of behavior in a clinical setting, it's a massive warning sign of psychological enmeshment. Larry didn't see Maya as a human being with free will, desires, or even a soul of her own. He saw her as an extension of himself, or even worse, as an object that was malfunctioning. Imagine a remote control that stops working. You don't ask the remote how it feels, you just replace the batteries. Larry was looking for the remote control to fix Maya. This magical thinking loop is often the final bridge before a rigid personality turns violent. But why? Because once the magic fails, the universe doesn't deliver the control that you demanded, the only tool left in your toolbox is force, is violence. The guilty verdict against Larry tells us what the jury believed happened on the night Maya disappeared. But from a psychological standpoint, the tragedy was written in the architecture of his mind long before that night. When a person's identity is entirely wrapped up in the control of another, the loss of that control feels like a death sentence. To Larry, Maya leaving wasn't just the end of a relationship. It was a total collapse of his world. As we look back at this case, the lesson isn't just the dangers of a jealous husband. It's not about a grieving husband either. It's a study in what happens when a human being refuses to bend, refuses to see others as individuals, and ultimately their need for dominance to destroy everything they claim to love. You can watch my much deeper dive into this case in this video right here.